If you're buying a home using an FHA loan or a VA loan, there's one document in the purchase contract that can literally protect thousands of dollars of your money. But here's the problem. Most buyers don't know it even exists. And unfortunately, a lot of real estate agents don't fully understand it either. It's called the FHA VA Amendatory Clause. And this clause determines whether or not you can be forced to buy a home if the appraisal comes in low. And today I'm going to explain why page 1 of the purchase agreement is so important and what the FHA VA Amendatory Clause actually says, and why it must be signed by both buyer and seller, and the big mistake I see agents make with it all the time. Because if you're using FHA or VA financing, this clause is not optional. It's a federal requirement, and understanding it could protect your deposit and your financial future. Hi, I'm Alex Ramirez, and I've been originating mortgage loans for over 21 years, and I specialize in helping veterans, first responders, and home buyers understand how these loan programs actually work. And one of the biggest problems I see today in real estate transactions is misunderstanding contract protections tied to government-backed loans. And the FHA VA Mandatory Clause is one of the most misunderstood parts of the entire contract. And if you want straight mortgage and real estate guidance without fluff, hit that like, subscribe, and tap that bell so you don't miss any of my videos in the future. All right, let's break this down. Why page 1 of the contract matters. Everything starts with page 1 of the California Residential Purchase Contract. This is where the loan structure of the transaction is identified. On page 1, the agent must select the type of financing being used. The options include conventional, FHA, VA, seller financing, and other. Now here's the key. When an agent checks FHA financing or VA financing, the contract system automatically requires the FHA VA Amendatory Clause to be included. This is not optional. It is a federal requirement tied to those loan programs. So if FHA or VA is selected, but the Amendatory Clause is missing, the contract package is incomplete for those loans. So what the FHA VA Amendatory Clause actually says. Now let's talk about what this clause actually does. And the core language, it says, the purchaser shall not be obligated to complete the purchase or forfeit earnest money unless the appraised value is equal to or greater than the purchase price. So in plain English, that means this. If the appraisal comes in lower than the contract price, the buyer cannot be forced to complete the purchase, and the buyer cannot lose their deposit for canceling the transaction. This clause protects buyers who are using government-backed financing. And why does the government require this? FHA and VA loans are designed to protect the borrower. And one of those protections is making sure the buyer does not get forced into overpaying for a property, because the lender will base the loan amount on the appraised value, not the contract price. So if the appraised value comes in low, the clause ensures the buyer has options. So let's go over an example. Let's say the contract price is $465,000. The FHA or VA appraisal comes in at $450,000. Now there's a difference of $15,000. Because of the mandatory clause, several things can happen. Option 1, the seller lowers the price to match the appraisal. Option 2, the buyer voluntarily brings additional cash to cover the difference. Or option 3, the buyer and seller renegotiate the price somewhere in the middle. And option 4, the buyer cancels the transaction and receives their earnest money deposit back. But here's the key. The buyer cannot be forced to pay the difference. And the big misunderstanding with appraisal contingencies, let's go over that a little bit. This is where things get confusing for a lot of people. Sometimes agents will say, let's waive the appraisal contingency to make the offer stronger. But when FHA or VA financing is involved, the mandatory clause still protects the buyer no matter what, even if the appraisal contingency is waived. Government loan rules override the contingency language in the contract. That's something many agents misunderstand, and also loan officers. And VA loans have an even stronger rule. Now this is extremely important for VA buyers. VA loans have something called the VA escape clause. I have another video about that. You can go to that and learn more about those details. This clause says the veteran cannot be forced to complete the purchase if the purchase price exceeds the value determined by the VA appraisal. I break this all down in my VA escape clause video. It also means the veteran cannot lose their deposit, the veteran cannot be penalized, and the veteran cannot be forced to close. And here's a critical rule many agents don't know. A VA buyer cannot legally waive the escape clause. Even if the contract says buyer guarantees the appraisal gap, the veteran still retains the right to cancel the transaction. And that protection comes from the federal VA regulations. And why do two clauses exist? Historically, FHA required the Amendatory Clause, VA required the Escape Clause, and over time, many contracts started combining these protections into one addendum. That's why most contracts today refer to as the FHA VA Amendatory Clause, but the VA Escape Clause protection still exists within the rule. And why does this matter for real estate agents? Agents need to understand this because failing to include the Amendatory Clause when FHA or VA financing is selected can cause serious issues. It can delay escrow, it can trigger underwriting problems, it can also require contract amendments, and also create legal exposure. This is not just paperwork, it's a federal compliance requirement tied to government loan programs. And why do listing agents sometimes misunderstand this as well? Some listing agents believe FHA or VA buyers are weaker because of this clause. This is not accurate. The clause simply prevents buyers from being forced to overpay for a property. Conventional loans have appraisal risk too. They just don't require the same federally mandated language. And if you're planning to buy a home in the next 6 to 12 months, understanding these contract protections early can save you a lot of stress later on. And if you want to know what loan program fits you best, what your buying power looks like, or how to structure a strong FHA or VA offer, reach out to me directly. My contact information is going to be right here on the screen, or go to the description below and schedule a call with me. I'm always happy to help you build a clear, pressure-free plan before you start writing offers. All right, let's keep going. Bottom line, page 1 of the purchase agreement determines the loan type being used. When FHA or VA financing is selected, the FHA VA Mandatory Clause must be attached and signed. This clause ensures the buyer cannot be forced to buy above the appraised value and can cancel the transaction if the appraisal is low, and also protects their earnest money deposit, and keeps the transaction compliant with federal lending guidelines. And if you're buying with FHA or VA financing and you want to understand how the contract protections work, or how to structure your offer correctly, or you're looking how much home you can actually afford, reach out to me. My contact information is right here on the screen. I'll walk you through your situation so you can move forward with clarity and confidence. So the FHA and VA loan programs include powerful protections built directly into the contract. But like many things in real estate, a lot of people don't fully understand them, but now you do. And if this video helped you understand something new, hit that like, subscribe, and share it with someone else who's thinking about buying a home using FHA or VA financing. And remember, be smart, be prepared, and let's get you home.